Hi, my name is Nicole. Today I have a decision to make. My neighbor has approached me with the opportunity to invest in her new company that is going to develop an app that will allow students to rate and search HPM professors. She's asking me to invest $50,000 right now and promises to pay me a return on my investment of $100,000 in 5 years. I've shopped around a little bit and have seen that I could earn 20% on my investment by investing in similar high-risk technology companies. The question is, should I invest $50,000 in my neighbor's company knowing that I will get $100,000 5 years from now? And what is the maximum amount of money I should consider investing in my neighbor's company given the return that she will pay me? Today I'm going to think about this both manually and using Excel.
To begin solving this problem manually, I've drawn a timeline so that I can demonstrate where the cash is coming from. I know that at the end of 5 years, I've been promised $100,000 from my neighbor if I decide to invest in her company. The question is whether or not that $100,000 in 5 years is worth more or less than the $50,000 that I would invest today in this company. Because of the process of discounting, $100,000 in 5 years is worth less to me than $100,000 today. I know that if I were to invest in an investment of similar risk, I could earn 20% on my investment from a mutual fund. So I need to figure out whether or not my neighbor's company giving me $100,000 in 5 years is going to be worth more or less than the 20% mutual fund that I would invest in. In order to do this, I can find the present value of that $100,000 by discounting it 5 times. The discount rate I would use is the 20%. 20% is also the opportunity cost. It represents the amount that I could earn in a similar investment of similar risk. In order to calculate exactly what the present value is, I can use the discounting formula, which is present value is equal to the future value over 1 plus the rate to the power of n. If I enter the figures that I know in this formula, I get $100,000 over 1 plus the discount rate I'm going to use is 20% because it's the amount that I could earn in an investment of similar risk, to the power of 5 because I'm going to be getting this money back in 5 years. If I complete those calculations, I see that the present value is actually $40,188. Because the present value of this investment is less than the $50,000 that she's asking me to invest in, this is probably not a very good investment for me because I'm going to be putting more money in and not getting the rate of return that I would get in a similar investment. I'm better off putting my money in a startup tech mutual fund rather than investing in my neighbor's company. If I could convince my neighbor to accept $40,188 instead of $50,000 in return for $100,000 in 5 years, then maybe I would consider it because I know that I could invest only $40,188 in a similar investment and still get the same return. I don't want to invest more than I have to now to get the same return later. Another way to think about this problem is to consider the fact that 5 years from now, I would obtain $100,000 by investing $50,000 today. By showing that on a timeline, I can see that I already have a present value, I know the future value, and I also know n, or the number of years it would take me to get the return on my investment. If we look at the formula of present value equals future value over 1 plus the interest rate to the power of n, and rearrange it to solve for the interest rate, we see that the interest rate is equal to the future value over the present value to the power of 1 over n minus 1. If I enter my known values in that formula, I see that I have $100,000 is my future value. The present value is $50,000 to the power of 1 over 5 minus 1. The result I would obtain is 14.9%. I can see that I would get a 14.9% rate of return by investing $50,000 today to get $100,000 in 5 years. I know that this rate of return is lower than the 20% rate of return I would obtain by investing in a mutual fund of similar risk. So my neighbor's proposition to invest $50,000 today and get $100,000 in 5 years is not as good as the 20% rate of return that I could get on a similar investment of similar risk. I can also solve this problem using Excel. I'm going to start by entering the values that I already know. I know that my future value is going to be $100,000. I also know that the number of years that it would take before I would get this return on my investment is 5. And the rate that I'm going to use is 20% because this is the rate that I know I could get on a similar investment of similar risk. I want to find out whether $100,000 in 5 years using this rate is worth more or less than the $50,000 that I'm being asked to invest. Now I can solve for the present value using the Excel formula PV for present value. And I can enter the information that I have. So the rate is 20%. The number of payment periods or the number of years involved is 5. The payment I'm going to leave blank because there are no payments being made other than the initial money that I'm investing and the amount that I'll receive at the end. The future value is $100,000 and we can leave the type blank. It's showing up as a negative value because I put the future value in as a positive. So I can change that to negative in order to get a positive present value. The present value that Excel is showing me is $40,187.76. And I can see that this is less than the $50,000 that I'm being asked to invest. Seeing that $100,000 5 years from now is only actually worth $40,188 to me today, that's not as much as I'm being asked to invest. Because I'm being asked to invest more than this $100,000 is actually worth, it would be better for me to invest the $50,000 in a mutual fund of similar risk. If I could convince my neighbor to accept $40,187.76 in exchange for receiving $100,000 5 years from now, then the investment would be just as good as if I had invested in a 20% rate of return mutual fund. So the only way that I would consider investing in my neighbor's company instead of the tech mutual fund of similar risk is if she would accept $40,188 instead of the $50,000. If I wanted to consider this problem by comparing the rate of return of my neighbor's investment to the rate of return of a mutual bond of similar risk, I could also enter the future value that I would earn is $100,000. I also know that the number of years that I'm looking at is 5 years. It's a 5-year investment. And I know that the amount that I'm being asked to invest now is $50,000. That's the present value. Now, in order to solve for the rate, I can use the Excel rate function. And I can put in the number of periods, which is 5. The payments is going to be left blank because I'm not actually making any payments. The present value is a cash outflow of $50,000, so I'm going to put it as negative. The future value is $100,000, and we obtain a rate of 15%. Since the rate of return on my neighbor's investment is only 15%, and that's less than the 20% rate of return that I would earn on a mutual bond of similar risk, then I think I'm probably better off investing in the mutual fund instead of investing in my neighbor's company.